Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are going to do a little bit of hypothetical gossip, little neighborhood catch up. I've had some people ask me just how things are going and how things in my neighborhood have been since mid August. And I don't know if you're familiar, but there allegedly has been a little problem with one of my neighbors, and it's been going on for quite some time. Actually, it's been going on for over 5 years that we have hypothetically maybe been dealing with this problem with this person. And I would say probably in the last 8 months or so, it's definitely escalated. It has gotten personal. And so I just thought maybe we could talk about that a little bit today. But before I get into that, I did want to say something. And I don't say this enough. I really should say it more. But I've had people ask me, or just express their appreciation. You have all this stuff going on in your personal life. I really appreciate you making these videos with everything you have going on. I just want to say that making these videos helps me just as much as it does you. It takes my mind off things. It's really nice, and I love doing it. So when I do have just crazy stuff going on in my life, I can come here and I can focus on this, and we can just be together, and I can forget about every other thing in life that might be stressful or frustrating. I put all that out of my mind for the 30 or 45 minutes or however long we're together. I get to forget about that. So it really helps me just as much as it does you. And I don't say often enough how much I appreciate being able to come to you and share moments with you. It really means a lot to me. And I'm so glad you're here. And it's been just as good for me as it has been for you. So being able to come to you 5 days a week and share a moment has been a lifesaver for me over the last few months, hypothetically, maybe, with my neighbor. Now, I have a lot of neighbors. I live in a pretty densely populated area, and I want to say that for the most part, it's good. Now, there's a lot of hypothetical drama. There are things that happen here, and we've discussed some of those things that may or may not have happened. And but overall, I would say that I'm pretty satisfied with the way things are where I live, except for this one person. There's this one person. Um, we refer to her lovingly as Crazy Lady. That's not her real name. Um, Crazy Lady is one of my neighbors. And I wanted to just give you a little backstory if you're not familiar with Crazy Lady. Crazy Lady moved in to the neighborhood 5 years ago. It was during COVID. And I still remember the first time I heard her. Now, I didn't know what I was dealing with at the time. It was kind of confusing. I remember it was a Sunday morning in July of 2020. I don't know why this sticks out in my mind. It just does. And it was early. It was really early, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning. But I was awake. I was laying in bed and I was just scrolling through my phone, and I hear, just out of nowhere, I hear a woman start screaming. Like she was screaming at someone. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but she was just screaming. And I'm listening and I'm going, I don't hear anybody else. And I looked out the window and I couldn't see anybody. I mean, I could tell that it was coming from over there. I mean, I could tell that. But I thought, I'm not hearing another person. So I just assumed whoever it was on the phone with somebody. Maybe they were outside. And I thought, boy, somebody's having an argument right now. Well, what I learned later is that no, she just does that. There doesn't have to be anyone outside. She just rages. And so this was in July. It was just a few days later that I was outside watering my grass in my front yard, just not talking to anybody, just kind of standing out there. And she came marching down the street and just starts screaming at me and cursing at me. I didn't do anything to provoke her. I didn't even look in her direction. She came down here and screamed, and it was just absolute gibberish. Nothing she said made any sense. She talked about her dad having cancer and he was in World War II. But she's yelling and cursing at me while she's saying these things, and I'm just going, what's happening? This is weird. Why is she yelling at me? I don't even know this lady. And then she called me some unsavory names, and then she just walked back up the street, went in the house, and shut the door. Like, the hell was that? It was so weird. So that was our introduction to Crazy Lady. We've never had a conversation with her. We don't provoke her. We don't gesture to her. We don't speak to her. We haven't done anything to her. But for some reason, she fixated on my kids and me, just the three of us. And she has decided that we are the most horrible people on the planet. Now, I know what you're going to say, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of my neighbors' impressions of her, because I've had some discussions, hypothetically, maybe with some of my neighbors about this situation. And I want to try to answer some of the questions that you may have. But here's one of the first things that I'm told by people who have never had to deal with something like this. And I've had people tell me this. She is clearly not well. You need to have some compassion. Why, I think you're making a big deal out of nothing. Why don't you just ignore her and she'll stop? If you ignore her, she will find someone else to do this to, and she will leave you alone. Well, we tried that. We tried ignoring her. It actually got worse. It escalated. She's like a perpetual motion machine. She feeds off herself. You don't have to do anything. She has got it in her head that we're evil. She has called us evil. We are demons. We are horrible people. She's called us every name in the book, my kids and me. In fact, I want to play a clip for you. Now, I have a lot of video of her, because the one thing that the police were willing to do, they are not willing to intervene unless she physically assaults us or sets foot on our property, which she knows better than to do either of those things. She has a history going back over 30 years of doing things like this to people, all different people, mainly in the county I live in. She has a very, very long history of just stuff like that. So the police can't help. Well, they won't do anything unless she assaults one of us or, sets foot on my property, which she has not done as far as I know. She hasn't assaulted us physically. But they did advise me to start making videos of her when she has one of her episodes. Now, you might not know what I mean when I say that. I can't play a lot of this video because she so frequently calls out my full name, my kids' full names, personal information. She has taken it upon herself to learn a lot about us, where I work, where my kids go to school, where they went to school. My older son's out of school, but she has memorized our license plate numbers. She's memorized my driver's license number, my date of birth, my parents' names, one of my ex-husband's names. Actually, two of them now. She's found two of them. She's memorized their names and their addresses, and she just shouts this stuff. So a lot of the video I can't play because it's interspersed throughout, so there's a lot of private information in these videos. I just want you to get an idea of what we have had to listen to now for 5 years, and it has gotten worse since what I'm going to play for you. This is right up the street from my house, and compassion. I have compassion for people who aren't well. I really do. But when she started following my kids to the bus stop when they were in middle school and screaming at them and shouting disturbing things at them, even sexually suggestive things at them, all my compassion went out the window at that point. All my compassion went away. I just want you to hear what we have to live with and what we continue to live with. In fact, she was out there last night yelling. I want you to hear what she sounds like. That's what we live with. That is just a sample. That is an example of what we live with. Her house is 150 feet from mine. And that is what we are subjected to all hours of the day and night. Whenever she takes a notion to come out and do that, she does that. The police are aware of it. The HOA is aware of it. And I've been told over and over, I'll play these videos for the police, the HOA. I've gone to court now 7 times. I've played videos like that and other videos. I have lots and lots of videos like that. I have dozens and dozens of them. And all anyone will ever tell me is, oh, that's terrible. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was that bad. Wow, I can't imagine living with that. I can't help you though. I'm really sorry. Maybe she'll stop on her own, but I can't help you. Have a nice day. And that's what I'm told over and over and over by everyone. I can't help you. I'm sorry. Even the HOA, the Homeowners Association, they're aware of the issue. They've been aware of her for years. They tell me the same thing. We cannot do anything about it. We're very sorry. That's tough. Having to live with that, that's got to be tough. But we can't do anything about it. We're sorry. That's like, why do we pay all this money to live with that? But so that, I just wanted you to get an idea of what, I'm not just talking about somebody who just comes out and randomly speaks at a normal volume and just talks gibberish. I'm not talking about that. That right there is what she sounds like. And we deal with that on a regular basis. And we have been dealing with that on a regular basis now for 5 years. So that's crazy lady. So we tried ignoring her. It just got worse. I can't walk out of my house to go check the mail. But there's a very good chance if I were to walk out of my house right now to go check my mail, she would open her front window because she sits in the window in front of her house and just watches. If she sees anyone come out of my house, she will yell at them. I can't really have anybody to my house, like a visitor, because she will yell at them. And it's disturbing. Most people find that to be very disturbing. It has seriously altered my everyday life. Sometimes I can't sleep at night because she's out there screaming and the police won't do anything. They won't stop her. It's even if it's after 10 o'clock, because they have told me before if it's after 10 o'clock, they can tell her to stop. They don't even bother doing that anymore, hypothetically. So things kind of escalated for some reason, and I'm not really sure what happened, but earlier this year, we became aware of the fact that she was posting online about my kids and me. And she was taking pictures of us in front of the house. Now, I showed this in the last gossip video. I just want to show it one more time. This binder is from 3 months of her posting. It's screenshots and walls of text. It's personal information. This is all stuff she posted about my kids and me in 3 months online. It's a lot. It is voluminous, as the judge said. So I took that to court, and she even apparently started stalking the previous judge who dismissed my first request for a restraining order. She started to stalk that judge and had information about that judge online. And I think that finally got the attention of the judge who heard my second attempt to get a restraining order. So I did get it the second time. Now this was in mid-August. I did get my restraining order. So I don't think we've talked about it since I got my restraining order. I don't think we have. Not on here. Now on my vlog channel, I have talked about it. So if you're from there, you probably already know some of this stuff. I'm going to repeat it. So she was arrested in court when I went to get my second restraining order because I had there was an outstanding warrant based on charges that I filed of cyber stalking, which is criminal. That's a criminal matter. Restraining orders are civil. So they arrested her. She spent at least one night in jail. I think she only spent one night in jail. and then there was some sort of hearing or something. I don't really know a lot about criminal procedures. I am familiar with the legal field, but not that particular aspect of the legal field. I'm more into intellectual property. I could tell you more about that. Legal stuff, I don't. Criminal stuff, I don't really know anything about it any more than anybody else would. So, 48 hours after I got the restraining order, she was back home. I came out to water some plants. I was out in my front yard. So I was outside watering my plants, and she came outside. Well, no, she didn't come outside that time. She opened the window. She has this little window on the front of her house, and she starts screaming my name. She screams out my full name, my address, calls me a whole string of profanities. She was right back to yelling at me. She's not allowed to communicate with me, but she doesn't care. That restraining order means nothing to her. So for a little bit, now I didn't have any video of that because I just walked out there to water my plants. I didn't have anything with me like my phone or anything. I really didn't expect her to do that so soon. I mean, she had just come home. She had just gotten out of jail. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. So for a little bit, for a few weeks, she would stand like over on the side of the house. She has a fence for the backyard. She would stand with her little head. She's a tiny lady. She'd poke her head up and yell. But I guess she thought if we couldn't see her, we couldn't prove it. Like she's invisible. But we can still hear you, and your voice, as you heard, her voice is very distinct. It's hard to mistake it for somebody else. It's very distinct. She would yell at us from the little fence. She would yell at my son because he has to walk past her house to get to the bus stop. He would yell at him going to and from, calling him out by name. She knows his name, date of birth, and his dad's name. And she knows all about us. She knows lots about us. But she would hide behind the little fence. Well, it didn't take long for her to start coming out of the house. She's not allowed to come down the street to where we are. And as far as I know, she hasn't done that. But she would stand in front of her house and just yell like what you heard. Yell and shout. And she's clearly talking to us. I mean, it's unmistakable. Initially, she did it mainly at night when it was dark and you couldn't really see her very well. But again, her voice is very clear. It's her. But then then she started doing it in the daytime, broad daylight. She would just stand out there and yell. If you were outside, like I was out there last weekend mowing the yard, she stood in her driveway and yelled at me the whole time I was mowing my yard. It was like 45 minutes. She stood out there and just yelled at me. And I have video of her yelling at me. She didn't care. I got my phone out, and she didn't care. She just doesn't care. Like it doesn't matter to her. Now there was a night, let's see, it was in August. It was maybe a week after I got the restraining order that she was out there yelling at us, and I got video of it. She stood out there for about 10 minutes yelling at my younger son and me. And so the judge told us when we got the restraining order, if she violates it in any way, call 911 and report it, and they will come arrest her. Now, here's what I've learned. I've had to learn a lot in the last month or so. There are two ways of looking at things. There's the way things ought to be, and then there's the way things are. And the way it maybe ought to be is that if you violate a restraining order, you're going to get arrested. That's the way, if you have a restraining order against you, you should not be bothering that person in any way. That's the way it ought to be. And then there's the way things are. So it was pretty disturbing, the stuff she was yelling at us. I got it all on video. So I called 911, as the judge told me to. The police come out. She instantly goes back in the house. Whenever she sees a cop car coming down the street, she instantly goes in the house and shuts the door. So she did that. She literally scurried into the house like a little troll. She ran in the house and shut the door. And the police came down and talked to my son and me, and they watched part of the video. They didn't want to watch the whole thing. I mean, it was kind of long. They watched it. like here's where she says this and listen, she says that. They said, wow, that's really disturbing. And you've been living with this how long? I couldn't imagine. Right here in your neighborhood. I couldn't imagine having a neighbor like that. That is so upsetting. Oh my gosh. Did she assault you? Did she physically assault you or your son? No. Did she set foot on your property? No. Oh. Well, see, here's the thing. So they took the restraining order and they read it over. Now, every box is checked on this restraining order. You can't. Here's the thing, though, ma'am. The restraining order doesn't specifically say that she can't talk to you. It doesn't specifically say that. I said all the boxes are checked. I understand, ma'am, but it doesn't specifically spell out that she's not allowed to talk to you. I said, isn't that kind of implied with the restraining order? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of implied? Well, you would think so, but it's not. So it doesn't say that she can't talk to you. So there's really nothing we can do. I tell you what we'll do, though. We will go to her door and see if we can speak with her and ask her to please stop yelling. But we can't really do anything beyond that. I said, with all due respect, are you serious? Oh, yes, ma'am, because the order doesn't say that she can't talk to you. So we can't really do anything about it. Okay. So they go to the door. There were 3 officers. They go to the door. Of course, she doesn't answer the door. They knock. She doesn't come to the door, of course. And I'm standing there going, she's not going to come to the door. She didn't come to the door. So they came back down. Darn it. She didn't come to the door. So, yeah. But if she assaults you or your son or anyone else, or if she comes onto your property, call back, and we'll see if we can do anything then. So, it really stinks, man. This is a bad situation. It's really bad. She has mental illness. Like, no shit. Does she? She does. She has mental illness. So, but if she comes on your property or assaults you, just call back and we'll see what we can do then, okay? So I hope you have a good night. Hate you're having to deal with this, though. I said, is there anything I can do? There's got to be something I can do. What is the point of having this restraining order if she can continue doing what she's been doing? Well, you can go to the magistrate's office. Maybe they can help you. They should be able to do something. Yeah, so I'd recommend going to the magistrate's office. Now, it was 11:30 at night at this point. And they said, you can try that. Have a good night. So I looked at my son. I said, I give up. This is pointless. I'm not going all the way because the magistrate's office is pretty far away. Like, I'm not going all the way to the magistrate's office at 11:30 at night. I'm just not doing it. And my son said, we should at least try. We can at least try. Maybe they'll help. Okay, so we went all the way to the magistrate's office. I had my phone with the stuff on it. I had the restraining order. So the magistrate reads the restraining order. Okay. Let me see the video. So you have to hand it through a slot. There's like a plate glass. It's right here. Oh, wow. Is she crazy or something? A little bit, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's your neighbor? Yes, ma'am. You have to live with that? How long has she been there? 5 years? Oh my God. I can't imagine having to deal with that. That's terrible. Unfortunately, though, this is a civil matter. We do criminal matters. The magistrate's not really in a position to get involved in this. So what you're going to need to do, and this was on a Friday night, so Monday morning, you need to go to the clerk of court's office, and you're going to need to file what's called a motion to show cause. Okay? So you're going to have to file a motion to show cause. And that has to be heard by a judge. So if you just go up there Monday morning and, explain what's going on. They will let you prepare the paperwork that will be reviewed by a judge. And then so it has to be reviewed by a judge, and then you're going to have another court date to present your evidence for this incident. And I'm just going through my head like, I've already had to take off so much time from work to deal with this. I have already lost like 4 days of vacation time for this since May. And so, anyway, we left the magistrate's office and we're driving back home. And I told my son, I said, we need more evidence. I just don't think this will be enough to get anywhere. We need a preponderance of evidence. We need an avalanche of evidence. Because I have this feeling if I go to court, they're just going to blow it off. They're just going to say, well, I mean, it's dark. Maybe she's on the phone with somebody. You can't really prove she's talking about you or talking to you. I know she called out both of your full names and your address and your place of business, and I know that, but I mean, she could have been on the phone with somebody. We can't really see her that well. So I don't know for sure. So we're just not going to do anything. Again, the way things ought to be and the way things are often very different. So I said, we're just going to live life for right now. If she does anything, we'll record it. And I told both of my kids, don't provoke her, don't talk to her, don't even look at her, don't do anything to her. And we haven't. We never have. But I said, we need to continue doing that. Maybe she'll stop. That's what everybody says. If you ignore her, she'll stop. Although we tried that for over 2 years and it didn't work. It's been 5 years we've tried to ignore her and it didn't work. She didn't stop. So it was just a few days after that so I keep an eye on her social media because that is one thing that is specifically stated in the restraining order, that she is not allowed to speak of us, take pictures of us online, anywhere, in any way, directly or indirectly. She started posting about us again. She started taking pictures of us again and posting a wall of text it was all about my younger son. She keeps saying that he put a gun to a child's head, which never happened. But she even said it in court I don't know where that came from, but she's got it in her head that actually happened. So she talks about it all the time. Oh, another thing she's latched on to as well, hypothetically. So, all right, one of the posts in here, now I'm not making this up. I showed it to the judge. I said, one of the posts in here, she has a picture of me and I think both of my kids, I think it's all 3 of us, in the front yard of the house. She said there was text with a picture, and she said, I climbed up on my roof to get a better angle, like to get a better picture. She literally said, I climbed up on my roof to get a better angle for the picture. I didn't say that, but I mentioned in court that there was a post in here about her climbing up on her roof to take pictures of us. And she has latched onto that, and she's very angry that I said that because she keeps saying, I was not on the roof. I do a really good crazy lady impression, but it's early in the morning and I don't feel like doing it right now. I was not on the roof. I was not on the roof. She has a New York accent, but she also has a speech impediment, so you kind of have to incorporate those two things. It's a really strong New York accent, but she has a speech impediment, so you have to kind of do both. But my voice is a little gravelly. I can't do it today. I was not on the roof. So I was not on the roof. As they were taking her away in handcuffs, she said, I was not on the roof. She's still saying it. I was not on the roof. And most of the time when she yells at us, she will bring that up. I was not on the roof. I never said she was on the roof. She said she was on the roof. But that doesn't matter. So she yells about that a lot. So she mentioned that in the post with a picture of my son. She took a video of my son in the front yard. It's very short, but it's definitely a video of him in the front yard from her house, and put it online. And I have collected all of this information just like this. She's not posting as much, so it's not this much stuff. but she is definitely violating, she's clearly violating the restraining order. So once she started doing that again and coming out and yelling at us in broad daylight, and we have video of that, I decided it was time to, like, okay, I'm so sick of this. I want something to be done. I don't even bother calling the police anymore because they've made it very clear that they're not going to do anything. Oh, before I tell you about that, the motion to show cause, let me tell you what happened, hypothetically. So this was about, I want to say about 3 weeks, no, it was almost a month ago now. Our next door neighbor over here, I feel really bad for them. They bought that house 2 years ago, and they didn't know about Crazy Lady. And they know about her now. Their daughter, they have a little girl. She can't have friends over because whenever she has friends over, Crazy Lady comes out and screams at them. And understandably, people don't want their kids over to play with her because it's like, what is wrong with that woman? I'm not leaving my kid there, and I get that. They're still talking about selling their house and moving away from here because it's that bad. Because the mom works from home. And she's even closer to Crazy Lazy Lady than I am. She's like right next to her. She, because of her job working at home, she does a lot of Zoom calls and Zoom meetings. And she said, you can hear her in the background. And I've tried every noise deadening, whatever. You can still hear her. And it's very embarrassing and uncomfortable to have to explain what that noise is in the background. Like, it's my neighbor. She said, we can't live like this. We can't. And I get it. I don't want them to go, though, because we've made friends and they're really nice. It's a very nice family. I don't want them to go. I get it, though. And they've told me, unless something is done, we're going to have to go. I don't want to live this way, and I get it. I don't want them to have to move because of this. I've already said I'm not going anywhere because people also say, well, why don't you move? I'm not going anywhere. I went through hell to fix up this house and to be here. I'm not moving an inch. I'm not going anywhere. That's not an option. That's not on the table at all. I'm not leaving. I'm not budging an inch. I will stay and fight the good fight. So, all right. So one day I came home. Actually, my son heard about it first, my older son, because he got home from work earlier than I did. And she said, you're not going to believe what happened today. And so I heard part of it from my son, but I said, let me wait till I get home. I want to have a full discussion. I want to know the details of what happened. All right. I wouldn't believe this. Oh my God. Okay. So I know I've told you the Homeowners Association, the HOA, they will not get involved. They will not. I've spoken with the HOA president multiple times. We'll call the HOA president Brenda. So Brenda won't do anything. And Brenda has said, we've tried talking to her and telling her to, tone it down, calm it down. But you know how she is. I mean, she spirals out of control. And I hate that you have to live with that. That's really terrible. But we can't help you. Sorry. So one day, my neighbor who works at home, she was at home working, and Crazy Lady starts screaming. She said, I heard her screaming, and I wasn't on a Zoom call or anything, but I'm going, oh, there she goes. But then she said it sounded like the screaming was moving, like she was going down the street. So she said, oh, where is she going? Now, there's a walking trail, not far. There's a walking trail down there. She's not allowed on the Crazy Lady's not allowed on the walking trails or in any of the common areas here. She's been trespassed from all of them. But she flaunts, like she'll just go and make videos of herself on the walking trail in the common areas all around where she's not supposed to be, and she posts them online, just laughing and calling out Brenda by name. Ha ha, Brenda, look where I am, bitch. Come, what are you gonna do? I'm allowed here. I live in this neighborhood. I'll go wherever I want to go. And Brenda knew about that, but didn't, was like, well, what can I do? I know I don't like that she throws it in my face, but I can't really help it. Well, so my neighbor heard her moving, and she said she's going down to those damn walking trails. And then she could hear her screaming like it was louder, but she was further away. And then it sounded like there was someone else, like she was having an argument. There was another, she said, I heard another woman. And I heard that they were yelling at each other. And I thought, uh-oh, something's going, this is not good. So she called Brenda, the HOA president. Hey, it sounds like Crazy Lady's down on the walking trail, and it sounds like there's a shouting match going on. You may want to go check it out, or have somebody go check it out. So, and I wasn't here. This is all what I heard from the neighbor. I was at work when this happened. And so from what I understand, Brenda, the HOA president, she has this little golf cart. So she gets in her golf cart and she goes down the walking trail and she finds Crazy Lady, and she's screaming at this lady who, okay, so the lady she was screaming at lives in a house that kind of backs up to the walking trail. So it's like right in her backyard. And I don't know what occurred between the two of them, but they're screaming at each other. So the HOA president tries to intervene. Crazy Lady punched the HOA president in the head. Like, punched her in the head. I don't mean to laugh. It's not funny. But if I'm being totally honest, I'm not altogether upset. I mean, she's fine. You know, she didn't knock her out or anything. Again, the Crazy Lady, she's maybe 5'2", 120 pounds soaking wet. She's a small person. She's older. She's over 60. I mean, so I'm not saying she can't hurt anybody. I'm just saying, you know. But so, fortunately, the neighbor witnessed the incident and is willing to work with Brenda to press charges against her for assault, which is great. She said, yeah, I was there for the whole thing. I will do whatever you need me to do. I'm happy to testify against her if needed. So that was wild. So it's just kind of neat how the one person who might have been able to help got punched in the head. Like, maybe it became personal at that point, but she did, from what I understand, she did press charges against Crazy Lady for that incident. I don't know what's happened with it beyond that. I haven't heard any more about it. I can tell you because I have pending criminal charges against Crazy Lady myself for cyber stalking, and there's stalking and cyber stalking charges for each of those things. I can tell you from what I've learned, they're really backed up. There's a huge backlog in cases. I was told it may be 6 months before I even get a court date. So it's possible, from what I understand, she did press charges. It may be 6 months before she gets a court date too. So it may be a long time before anything happens with my thing and with the HOA president's thing. But she said she is going to definitely press charges. But nothing's happened to her yet. She's home every day. She doesn't work. She has all day to do whatever she wants. And she just goes around terrorizing the neighborhood. And she's been allowed to do this now for 5 years. And nothing ever really happens to her. So the way things ought to be, if you have a restraining order, the hard part should be done, you would think, right? So if you have and this is just in North Carolina. I can't speak for other jurisdictions, states. I don't know how it is where you live. It may be completely different. Here, if you have a restraining order, there are two kinds of restraining orders. First of all, there's a 50B and a 50C. And I've had to learn all this crap. A 50B is for like a domestic violence thing, like a partner, a spouse, someone that you are close with, like it could be your spouse or significant other or whatever. So that's a 50B. A 50C is basically everything else. It's stalking and non-consensual sexual contact or something. Basically, if the person that you have the restraining order against is not a significant other in some way or a family member, it's not a domestic violence situation. So that's a 50C. So I have a 50C. Now, this may not apply to 50Bs, but I think it does. So if the person violates the restraining order, and the magistrate was right, you have to prepare paperwork. There's a motion to show cause where you have to basically explain how they violated the restraining order. And you also have to get this notarized. You have to have it notarized before you go to file it, before you go to the courthouse, because they won't notarize it for you. So I got it, I prepared it, I got it notarized, I filled everything out, And I had to go to the courthouse on my lunch hour. Like, I can't just pop down there whenever. I'm going to take my lunch hour and go to the courthouse and file this thing. Well, I get down there, and hey, I have this form. Oh darn! It's 12:50. It was like 12, almost 12:30. You have to file these between 8:30 and 11:45. We don't take them after that because you're going to have to wait. So you're going to give it to me, the clerk. I'm going to take it. And then when the judge is available, they will review it and you will have like a hearing. And if you want an ex parte, an emergency restraining order, you have to do the same thing. You have to come in that morning. Now, I will tell you from my experience, I don't understand any of this stuff, okay? I'm having to learn as I go. This is not something I ever thought I would have to know. So when you go, I figured, what do they do? Where's the judge? I mean, like, what judge are we talking about? If you have to go file a motion to show cause, be prepared to be there all day. It's like going to the DMV without an appointment. Just be prepared to just block off that whole day. Be prepared to be there all day. Because I got there at 8:30 in the morning. I took time off work to go. I thought I'm going to get there first thing, try to get this done as quickly as possible. Now, this is anecdotal, but I can tell you from my experience, getting there early doesn't really benefit you at all. This is what I found out. I would have been better getting there much later. Because the judge that's going to review your motion, they're upstairs going through the docket for the day. They've got people up there. They're dealing with other restraining order stuff. They're not going to review your motion until they're done with all of that. And court starts at 9. So you're going to be waiting a long time. And it just so happens that when I went, there was a very full docket that day. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know that judge had anything to do with it. But that judge that's hearing that day's restraining order stuff is the one that's going to review your motion. You have to wait until they're done with all their docket stuff before they get to you. I didn't know that. And when I got there I got there the next day, and then so this clerk got a different clerk, and she reviewed it. She said, this form is out of date. And I about had a heart attack. Like, what do you mean it's out of date? It was on the court system's website. I know, but that one's old. You're not supposed to use that one. She said, don't worry about it. I'll just get another one and have you fill it out, and we'll just attach it to this notarized form. Hopefully that will be okay. Because I'm thinking, man, I'm going to have to fill this out again and go get it notarized again and come back again. Because they won't notarize anything for you. You have to do it. She said, no. So I had a small heart attack, but she said, no, don't worry about it. We'll just start over. We'll get the updated form. And I said, somebody really ought to fix that. I know, but we're not in charge of it. Okay, fine. So I fill it out, and she takes the form and everything, and she has my paperwork. She said, now I will call you when the judge is ready to review your form. Okay. So I'm sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. I sat there until 11 o'clock, and there were other people that were waiting as well, kind of in my position. Most of them were ex parte. I think they were waiting for a hearing for an emergency restraining order. So at 11 o'clock, the clerk announces to all of us that we can go upstairs, and the judge is ready to talk to us. So at that point, there were 11 of us. So all 11 of us, and we've all kind of bonded just sitting in there. So we go upstairs. The judge wasn't done with the docket. But I tell you what, when I walked in, I saw something that made me very happy. Guess who the judge was? It was the judge that gave me the restraining order. Like, yes, hell yes. We'll call this judge Judge Jones. So Judge Jones is there. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Because it was not, too long ago, I was just in front of this judge. And this judge was very unhappy with crazy lady. And so we had to sit there, and it gets to 12:30, and the judge is still hearing the docket stuff. That wasn't done yet, so I'm not sure why we were up there. I would say something about the courthouse. and every courthouse I've ever been in is like this. They go out of your way to make you as uncomfortable as possible. I'm convinced of this. The benches in these courtrooms are the most uncomfortable benches I've ever sat on in my life. And it's like they are engineered to be as uncomfortable as possible. They're like torture devices. They're made out of the hardest wood ever. And so the seat is completely flat, and the back is at a 90-degree angle. It's like this. There are no armrests, and it is just a 90-degree angle. There's no comfortable way to sit on these benches. Your butt goes numb. And if you try to move, the benches are very squeaky and they make lots of creaky noises. And this pisses the judge off, and they will tell everyone to be quiet. You really can't help it though. You're dying, your ass is numb, and you have to be quiet. But like, I have to move because I have sciatica, and like, it is killing me. Have you ever dealt with sciatica? Oh my God, these benches are the worst for that. So I tried to move as little as possible, but we were chastised for making too much noises and too much noise on the benches. But anyway, there are no clocks in the court. There are very few clocks in the courthouse. You lose your watch. Like if you have a smart watch, you can't wear it into the courthouse. You have to leave your cell phone, your smartwatch, any communication devices, laptops, all that has to stay outside of the building. You can't bring them in. You don't know what time it is. Time just stops in there. There's a clock in the courtroom, but out in the hallway, you don't know what time it is. Time just stops. You need to take a regular watch. If you have to go to court, take a regular watch. I don't even own a regular watch anymore, not one that works. Most uncomfortable experience ever. And also, maybe it's just me, I'm terrified to talk to judges. I'm kind of like if you saw the movie The Wizard of Oz, you know, when they're going to see the wizard, like they're there and they're approaching and they're all scared. They're all so scared. That's me the whole time I'm sitting in there. I am so nervous. I'm so scared. I mean, I was glad to see it was the same judge, but I'm still like super wound up and nervous. And I had to sit there and sit there and sit there, still going through the docket. Then it gets to 12:30 and the judge goes, well, we're going to break from lunch. We'll come back at 2 o'clock. Because I kept watching the clock like it's getting close to lunchtime. I wonder what they're going to do. Yeah, we're going to break for lunch till 2. So I have to occupy myself. So I went to get something to eat, and then I'm just kind of hanging out. Like there's no point in trying to go back to work. For what? So we get back in there. The judge finally called me up at almost 3:30. So I had to sit there for another hour and a half. It was almost 4 before I got out of there. But I walked up there with I took this because I wasn't sure who I was going to hear, but I thought they might want to see why I have a restraining order. This got me my restraining order. Not the videos, not the phone calls to my place of work where she tried to get me fired. That binder got me the restraining order. So the judge is reading over the paperwork, and I'm just standing there just like very scared. I'm like right in front of the wizard, like, and just wound up as tight as can be. And I've been wound up all day. I can tell you, I got home that night, I just crashed. I was so exhausted by the end of the day. And the judge is reading it and just goes, looks at me, and I'm just like, did this like 3 times. And every time there was a different look, like, do you have a son? I said, I do. Yes. Is he 16? Yes. You're the one with the binder. No. Yes, that's me. She's at it again? Yes, Your Honor. You're kidding me. Oh. Give me the paperwork. Where do I sign? I didn't have to present any evidence. She needs help. Yes, Your Honor, she does need help. Madam Clerk, everything was signed. Like, where do I sign? Absolutely, you can file this 100%. Didn't want to hear anything from me. Like, oh my God. You're kidding me. When did she first start acting up again? I said it was 48 hours after the restraining order was issued. Okay. So I have to go back to court again, but it's later. So I do have another court date, so I'm going to have to go back. Hopefully she will get served. So then you have to go downstairs to the clerk of court and wait for your signed copy to be generated or printed or whatever. So I had to wait down there another 20 minutes for my paperwork, and then I could leave. So it was almost 4 o'clock by the time I got out of there. So I lost a whole day of work. I had to take a whole day of vacation. Unexpected. I was not prepared to have to do that. But I know now, if I ever have to do this again, I'm just going to have to take a day off work. So now what happens is crazy lady has to get served. So it's kind of like with the restraining order. You have to go through this all over again. I'll have to go to court on the court date. If she hasn't been served, I will have to file paperwork to continue it, and I will have to come back again and again and again until they serve her. There's nothing I can do to speed the process along. The sheriff's deputies have the paperwork. She actively avoids them whenever she can. She won't come to the door. They have to hand it to her. So I don't know how many more times I'm going to have to go to court. But at this point, it's just become like this is my life's goal at this point. I want her to have to account for and answer for what she's done. And I want there to be some sort of punishment. Now, I don't know who the judge will be when we go back. I don't know that yet. It's off in the distance because I don't even know who it's going to be. It's a ways off, but hopefully they will have enough time to serve her between now and then. I want her to be held accountable. That's all I want. I don't want anything from her. I just want her to be held accountable. For once, I want her to be held accountable. Now, the first violation of a restraining order carries a maximum penalty of up to 150 days in jail. I don't know how it's going to go in court, but eventually, I don't care if I have to go to court 50 times before she's served. I will keep going and keep going. I will not let this drop. I will not let this go. I will just keep going until she is served. And so with a motion to show cause, basically the defendant has to prove they have to show cause to not be punished for what they've done. I have all the evidence for everything in there. She's going to have to prove that she should not be punished. There should be no consequence for her. It's her job to prove that it should not happen. So that should be pretty interesting to see what she has to say about it. I don't care. This is my new hobby. This is my new part-time job. And I will keep learning and keep doing things as much as I need to until she is held accountable for what she's done. That's how I feel about it. So my neighbors, I want to tell you quickly before I go what they think of it. So I have talked to some of my neighbors. I wanted to let them know. First of all, I do have a restraining order. Here it is. You can read it. You can look at it. And she's not allowed to come within this distance of my house. So if you see her, I have cameras. People always say you need cameras. I have cameras everywhere. I have cameras inside. I have cameras outside. I have night vision shit. We're good. If she does come on my street, I'm going to know it. And I'm going to have multiple videos of it. But I would like my neighbors to just also keep an eye out. If you see anything weird, if you see people creeping through the bushes or whatever, please let me know. Call the police. Do something. My neighbors have different opinions of this whole situation. You would think everybody would be of the same mind because we all have to deal with it. Other people don't have to deal with it quite the way we do, though. Now, there is another neighbor not far from here that she is also targeted, but I don't know that it's been as extreme as what we've dealt with. Most people she's just a nuisance. Like, she's just a noisy nuisance. Like a small little yappy dog. That's just what she is. Most of them say what the cops say, what the HOA president said, what the magistrate said. I really hate that she's targeted you guys because y'all seem nice. I really hate it. I don't want to get involved though, because I don't want her to target me. I don't want her coming after me because, we live here and I don't want to have to deal with what y'all have had to deal with. That's what most of them say. I really hate it. I wish somebody would do something. Somebody should do something about her. I mean, she's insane. Not me though, because I don't want her targeting me. So they won't get involved. They won't do anything. I do have a couple of neighbors who really don't approve of what I've done, hypothetically, who really think that I'm out of line here. Look, and they say, like, look, she has mental illness. You really, you shouldn't have done this because you're just going to cause even more trouble for her. Like, can't you see she's in pain? Hurt people hurt people. You shouldn't have taken her to court. I mean, when you call the police, it just makes everything worse. And my argument to that is it gets worse whether you call the police or not. It has escalated regardless of what anyone's done or not done. It doesn't matter. She's going to do this stuff anyway. Well, be that as it may, I mean, she is mentally ill. You need to understand what that implies. You need to have compassion for her. Have you tried making friends with her? Have you tried maybe taking her some flowers? She's like the first judge. They're like the first judge I had. You need to accept your blame in this situation. You are just as much at fault here because you are poking the bear. You're provoking her by going to court, talking to the HOA, calling the police. You're just as liable as she is for this situation. So they don't agree with what I've done. And that's fine. They don't have to agree. And I would like to also point out these people that I'm talking about, they live much farther away. It doesn't impact them as much. And Crazy Lady likes them. She gets along with them. So they don't really see the problem. I'm the problem because I've tried to stop it. And I have no compassion, and apparently I'm just a monster because I have tried to hold her accountable. And I know not everybody feels this way, but having mental illness does not allow you to just run rampant and terrorize a neighborhood for 5 years. And if you can't control yourself and you have to do that, then I think somebody should hold you accountable whether you have mental illness or not. It's just unacceptable. You want me to play that again? That's what we live with. This video this is what we live with on a regular basis. It happens pretty frequently. So I do have neighbors I have neighbors with different opinions. Okay, so my next door neighbor, Joe over here that I've talked about with Itchy and Scratchy 2.0, they're still there. We've talked about it several times. Joe had a very unconventional suggestion. We are not going with his suggestion. I don't think he was kidding. He said, we need to just kidnap her. I said, Joe, nobody's touching her. And he said, well, I think it needs to be dealt with, Joe. No, sir. No, sir, we're not doing that. Hypothetically, he had a solution to the problem, and we said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do it. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it legally. We're going to do it above board. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to follow the process, go through the channels of the legal system. That's how we're going to handle it. That's what we're doing. I think you're stupid. I think there's a quicker way. Just shut up, Joe. Just shut up. So he did have a solution, but we're not going with his solution. So that's why, people say, well, you need to get together with your neighbors and blah, blah, blah. The neighbors are not in agreement on how to handle this. Most of them have said, I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved in that. Or they think I'm in the wrong for doing anything at all, that I should just tolerate it. I should just tolerate it. My son still has to walk past her house to and from the bus stop to go to school. She said something very, very inappropriate to him one day last week. He doesn't have a video of it. He's a minor, and let's just say what she said to him, if a cop heard it, that would have gotten her arrested. It was very, very inappropriate to say to a minor. It was a sexual suggestion, and I'm sorry. I don't have any compassion anymore. She harasses my kids. She harasses me. She harasses everybody except for the people that she likes down there. And I don't know how she decides if you're good or bad. She just assigns these things to you. And she decided that we were evil and terrible people, and she's just gone with it. She's just run with that. So I can't really band together with them. The neighbors aren't going to help. I am not moving. I'm not going anywhere. I am dug in. I am here, and I'm not moving. I'm not leaving here. And if I do leave here, it will not be because of her. It will be because I choose to leave for some reason, and it will not be because of her. The HOA is intimately aware of her issues now that the president's been socked in the head. They haven't made any moves to do anything to her. As far as I know, they've done nothing except press charges. The HOA president has pressed charges, but they haven't done anything else. They won't evict her. They won't get rid of her. No. I don't really have any other recourse. I'm doing what I can, and I want to do it the right way. I want to do it legally and above board and appropriately. Even though it takes forever, it's extremely tedious. It's time consuming. I hate using up all my vacation time on this, but that's okay. That's not okay, but it's going to be okay. And I'm not going to stop until something's done. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to give up. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'm not going to give up. I will never give up. This is my hobby now. This is my hobby. But I have gossiped way too long. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update about the situation. Nothing has really changed at all. The only change is she doesn't come down in front of my street anymore to yell at us. That's changed. That's really the only change. She's still posting about us online. She's still taking our pictures. She's still screaming and cursing at us. None of that has changed at all. She still does it every bit as much as she did before. Nothing else has changed. So I will keep you updated, but right now that's everything I know. If you've never had to deal with something like this, I imagine it's hard to wrap your head around it. I couldn't have really understood it until I went through it myself. It's easy to look on the outside at something like this and say, why don't you just do this simple solution that I'm sure you've thought of by now? Why don't you just do this? And it would stop. Doesn't work that way. There's the way things ought to be and the way things are. Just get a restraining order. Yeah, I did that. Didn't really change much. And then when they violate the restraining order, you have to go through this whole rigmarole after that. So getting a restraining order doesn't fix anything either. Not really. But I'm doing the best I can to handle it, and I'm not going to give up. And I will let you know what happens. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my hypothetical, theoretical, maybe true, maybe not neighborhood gossip update. And thank you again for letting me come and talk to you, because making videos for you, it helps calm me as much as I hope it helps you. So it's really a blessing to be able to come here and do this. I like doing this, but like my regular videos, it really helps me a lot too. And all the nice things that you say, I really appreciate it. I wish I had time to read everything. I try to read as much as I can. I really appreciate all the nice things that you say. Thank you for that. It means a lot. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.